I'm here on my magical thing with Chaz S. Clifton, academic, author, historian, with a specialism in the history and culture of paganism, editor, co-editor of the academic journal The Pomegranate. Do you want to hold up a copy, Chaz? I think you've got one there. Here we go. Very fine journal, peer review, amazing. And pagan practitioner yourself as well, with links, I know, to Wicca and Thelema. Is there anything else to add, Renaissance man, to that CV?
Well, I just consider myself to be an American eclectic Wiccan. And I taught writing and rhetoric for about 20 years. Now I'm just on my own.
Fantastic. Man, listen, Chaz, thank you so much for giving us the time. Please, may I see your magical thing?
Absolutely. And you'll enjoy the name because it's an icon of the Emperor Julian.
Oh, bless him.
Now, there's quite a story behind this. I call it my icon from an alternate universe. The universe in which Julian did not die in a cavalry skirmish in 363, but continued on as emperor. And what happened was, about 5 years ago, I decided I wanted something like this. And I contacted my friend Sasa Chaito, who's an Anglo-Greek symbolist painter, PhD in Western esotericism and so on. And she has a gallery on Corfu called Icon. And it's her work and some other people's work, but she can, when she chooses to, paint in a recognizably Orthodox icon style. So I said to her, Sasha, let's pretend that Julian lived and that the art style of his world was similar to the iconography of the Orthodox Church. What would an icon of Julian look like? And so she painted it, and he's holding up a scroll with some of the words of his oration or hymn to the sun, to Helios, and done in the Orthodox style. And I just loved it. It was just what I wanted. It hangs over my computer workstation. So I hope that some of his knowledge will filter down to me.
Fantastic. So blessed by Julian the philosopher rather than the apostate. So
yes. We call him the philosopher. And I don't know if you know much about his life. I think you do, but the last 5 years of his life were very action-packed. Mm-hmm. He went from being what is essentially what we would call a graduate student in philosophy to suddenly being in charge of the armies of the Western Empire, learning to be a soldier, fighting against the Germanic tribes, leading punitive raids across the Rhine, then getting into a civil war with his relative, his cousin or whatever Constantius was. His opponent dies suddenly. Julian marches into Constantinople unopposed, and much to everyone's surprise, proclaims that the empire is going to be pagan again, or at least that paganism will be on an equal stance with the Christian church that his uncle Constantine had recognized. Mm-hmm. And so for 2 years, Julian was an interesting fellow because he was not what we'd call a Puritan, but certainly of an ascetic temperament. He did not like pomp and circumstance. He did not like having, eunuchs in glorious robes parading around the court and that sort of thing. He really cut back. But at the same time, his task was very difficult because the empire had had a couple generations of which Christianity had become the governmentally subsidized religion. And the pagan temples, while not actively suppressed, were being slowly financially choked. Mm-hmm. And Julian tried to reverse all that. He had been raised in a Christian household. He had been tutored by bishops, but somewhere along the line, he reverted to the classical Greek religion, which he had to keep a secret until he was in school in Athens. And
So it brings up a number of things, doesn't it? I mean, there's that. It firstly makes me think of that fantastic novel by Gore Vidal of Julian, which is
that was the first one, right? Another good one about Julian is Michael Ford's Gods and Legions.
Oh, right.
Vidal's novel probably is heavier on philosophy. This one's heavier on the legions part.
Was it a conspiracy against him, do you reckon? Was he done in by his own side? There is that suggestion.
No, I think that's a Christian myth. Maybe you've seen the painting in Winchester Cathedral, or it's the reproduction of the painting in Winchester Cathedral that's supposed to portray this Christian soldier stabbing the evil emperor. No, it was a Persian cavalryman. I'm pretty sure of that. But also, just speaking of novels, there's another one by John Ford, The Dragon Waits, which is an alternate history of the War of the Roses, basically, Richard III. But it is set in this world in which Julian lived and was successful.
Well, you know, we would have had the presumably the closure of the great temple to Demeter at Eleusis, and the whole of culture might have been significantly different. But
yeah.
Let's have another look at that fantastic icon, please. Can we just hold
Absolutely.
up Julian the philosopher for a moment longer? There he is, looking astonishing, and in that alternate universe, haha, marvelous. Chaz, thank you so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it, my friend.
You're most welcome. I enjoyed being able to talk to you about Julian.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Thank you.